What I don't want to see is my daughter's 24. I don't want to have dementia by the time my grandchildren are born. I don't want to be that grandma that's frail and not strong. Like, I want to be the hot, cool grandma that takes them on great vacations, looks good in a bikini, and has fun and has really sharp as a tack cognition until I'm old and I'm teaching them how to strength train in the garage. Like, I just have a different version of what getting old is going to look like. And that's not possible without hormones, in my opinion.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting. I went to an event, I spoke out in November, and I was leaving with two of our friends, and I was in between them, and my sandal got caught on a tree root. And so I fell forward, but I didn't realize I was falling. I fell on my chin and my elbow. And so I'm in between two physicians, and they're like, "Oh my God." And I was like, I'm fine. Because I was so embarrassed. And I remember I had this huge hematoma on my chin. I didn't break anything. I didn't fracture my elbow, thank God. And I went to see the orthopedic surgeon the next day because I was like, I had a really bad sprain. I didn't break anything. And she was like, "God, you're so lucky." And I said, "No, I'm telling you, I do all the things because first of all, I didn't realize I was coming down, and it was not I don't drink alcohol. It wasn't because I was drinking. I just got my shoe caught." But I remember thinking like, oh my God, if I were any other person,
yep, of this
I would have
age,
broken, probably would have knocked out my teeth, probably would have fractured my wrist. And so I think all the time, preventatively, like I want to be, in fact, my trainer has me on and off the floor constantly. And she was saying to me, like, a lot of her clients complain about this. And I said to her, "Well, I know you're doing it for functional reasons." And she said, "Absolutely." Like she said, it is so important that you can get up and down throughout a workout because that is mimicking real life as opposed to, just going from like one weight machine to another. She was like, "I've learned and she's in her 60s, she's a kinesiologist. And she said, "I've just learned that the people that navigate the aging process the best are the people that are more agile, more flexible." And so those are things that we work on. But the reason why I wanted to interject that was, I think for every person listening who doesn't have that ideal person that they're working with, I can just very transparently tell you, I have a wonderful GYN. She's young. She's just out of training. You know what she told me? She loves taking care of middle-aged women. You know why? Because for most of us, we are done with birth control. We are done with the concern over pregnancy. She's like, "You guys are very clear about what you want. You're very clear about like what kind of care you want." And she's like, "I'm happy to write for hormone replacement therapy. I am happy to talk about vaginal estrogen for my breast cancer patients because it's a quality of life thing. You go over risk benefits." And she's so pragmatic and yet so young and wise. And I'm like, I'm hoping that this generation that's coming up is going to be more like that as opposed to like, "Oh my God, you're going to just use your lube and your coconut oil and you don't need any vaginal estrogen." Yes, you do. We all need a little, maybe not in your 50s, maybe you don't need it till you're 60, but to be thinking ahead. The other thing that I would add is I have a wonderful family member who fractured her hip 2 years ago. At the same time my dad was hospitalized this past May, she fell, fractured her femur. So the long bone in the leg, same side. This person has not been able to walk since May. And and she is sharp as a tack mentally. It is so hard to watch your loved ones, your family members, your friends navigating the aging process without fully understanding, like, that is what we want to try to avoid because it is so catastrophic. Not being able to walk is a catastrophic issue. And,
it's horrible.
It's terrible because the less she exercises and moves, the more frail she becomes. And so I've had to have these conversations with these family members just to say, it's not my place to interject, but, make sure that you're just aware of what's going on here. But that doesn't have to be our destiny is the point I'm making. I think with amplification of our voices, podcasts like this, it's helping women understand you can advocate for yourselves and to understand that if you are not working with someone right now who's able to meet your needs, there are lots of other individuals. There's actually a lot of places now do telemedicine. So maybe you have an internist and then you work with one of these telemedicine companies that have fully licensed PAs, NPs, physicians that can navigate your options and, do lab work and be able to make recommendations because, it's like a wild zone out there, but it doesn't have to be. I'm so grateful that we're 20 years out of the WHI and, things are starting to come full circle, but there's still a lot of misinformation. In fact, every once in a while, someone will come on the podcast and they'll say something that's actually inaccurate. And then my people pick up on it. And then I have to then explain it. Like, I cannot filter every single thing someone says as a guest.
Right.
And I said, everyone is well-meaning. That's why that's the vetting process. But having said that, everyone deserves to have good care. Everyone deserves to still have a libido, feel vibrant, healthy, cognitively intact. I think both you and I are 100% in agreement about how important that is, not wanting to be a burden to our families as we get older. And certainly these are the things that I think really make a big impact.